What happens when your hopes, your dreams, your plans, your ideas, your expectations for work aren't exactly going as planned? Well, I'm glad you're here because we're talking about it today. Welcome to Epic Everywhere, practical teaching to help you grow in your faith no matter where you are on your spiritual journey. If we haven't met yet, my name is Emily and I'm the pastor of Epic Online, and I want to give a special welcome to anyone who's hanging out with us for the first time today. Hey, we've been expecting you and we're so glad that you're here. I'll be sharing some ways that you can get connected and also how you can get a free gift in just a bit. You know, connection is a big deal to us here at Epic, and next Sunday we'll have the opportunity to do just that. If you're in the Philly area, we've got an opportunity to worship and sing together with people from across all of our Epic locations. Because next week is Epic Sweet 16. Hey, we're gonna be celebrating our 16th birthday. We're 16 years old. Our church is officially legal to get a driver's license. Watch out, everybody. You know, a lot has been happening over the last 16 years. We have a lot to be thankful for and a lot to look forward to in the years to come. So we're going to be celebrating Sunday morning, same time, same place that we do each and every week, but everything will be a little extra sweet since it's our Sweet 16. In fact, we're going to be starting a brand new series in the theme of celebration called Cue the Confetti, where we're going to be talking about different types of parties that were happening throughout the Bible and their significance for us as followers of Jesus today. And then we're going to have our Sweet 16 worship night that evening at 6 p.m. hosted at Epic Roxborough. After the worship night, we're going to have an after party to hang out. We're going to have a DJ, some fire pits, marshmallows, s'mores, all kinds of good stuff going down. And that is next Sunday. So I hope that you're going to be able to join us. Well, as we get kicked off today, go ahead and pull out your phones if you don't have them out already, because it is time to text in. You know, whether you're new around here or you're a regular at Epic, every time that you join us for church, we invite you to text in. To text in today, you can scan the QR code on the screen or text here to 215-999-8575. And then when you text in, it's going to mark that you were here with us today and give you access to the Hub. The Hub is where you can share a prayer request and also where you'll find information about what we've got going down as a church. Coming up on November 9th, we're going to be throwing the best prom of the year. It's our annual event called A Night to Remember. You know, one of the things that is core to our church is our love for people and the way that we serve our community. You know, we believe that people matter. Every person in the city matters. So each year we have the honor of hosting a prom for people with disabilities. You know, so often this community is left out or not thought of, and we are changing that. And to make it the best prom ever, we need you, yes you, to volunteer. There's tons of opportunities to volunteer, from the parking lot to the red carpet, stuff leading up to the event, and on the dance floor. At the end of the day, we just really need your help. Everyone is welcome too, so even if you don't attend Epic, you've got friends or coworkers or family members to serve with you, definitely invite them. You know, this event is a great opportunity to introduce them to Epic and our heart to care for people in our city in a really, really special way. So save the date, November 9th, and click the link on the Hub today to get signed up to volunteer. You know, one of the key characteristics of our church is that we really do care for every person in the city. It's not just some kind of slogan, it really is our mission. And so many of you have helped to fuel and fund the mission over the past 16 years. Thinking about our Sweet 16 really makes me think about so many people that we've been able to impact over the years. So much ministry happens because of the generosity and faithful giving of our church. Our giving really does matter. It really is used to make a difference in people's lives. So thank you so much for being part of the mission through volunteering at events like A Night to Remember, or for being a part of the mission through giving through these special events and the ongoing mission of our church. If you'd like to give today, you can do that on the Hub, or you can head right over to our website, epic.church/give. Well, during this message series that we're in called Workflow, we've been crashing the workplace of some of our Epic people. Today, we get to learn about one of the hardest, most important jobs on the planet. Then, after the video, we'll go ahead and get to today's message.
All right, well, We're here for week 4 in East Falls, and this might look like an ordinary house, but it is actually, because today we're doing maybe a job that is not conventionally classified as work, but it is work.
Absolutely.
It is hard work. So let's check out what's going on inside.
Here.
Oh my. Whoa! Is this your house? You own this house?
No.
What's up?
Hi, welcome.
Wow.
Hi guys.
Quite the crew in here. Let's go inside and meet everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, well. We're here with Rachel and Jess.
Hi.
And their wonderful children. So let's. They full-time stay-at-home parents, the hardest work anybody could do, and we're very grateful for it. But yeah, let's introduce us to everybody. Who do we have here?
So I'm Rachel. This is Lena.
Lena.
This is Chase. And Maddie's right here.
The doorkeeper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jess. This is Matilda and my son Julia.
We're just here on like a weekday, hanging out and seeing what's going on. So yeah, I mean, what is and we're making pizza. So it's a good day. All right, so yeah, I guess walk us through what's a day in the life like for you guys.
Well,
Out of all the issues I thought we'd have, the lights just not working. All right, so now that we've gotten introduced to everybody, talk to us about what's every day like. How does it compare to what we just witnessed?
well, this is normal. It's very loud every day. For us, every day is different.
Yeah.
My kids are a little bit older at this point, so we do have a lot of structured activities. Then sports, they do music, they have school, we see friends. We like to keep it moving and we like to change things up.
And these guys are all best friends, right? Because you guys live close by? Yeah?
Yeah, so
Nice.
they started hanging out, I think Chase might have been almost 2 years old.
Okay.
And we just did weekly play dates.
We also go to church together, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys are at Center City, right? Center City, Epic Kids, represent. Let's go, we love that. Let's take a look at this pizza and we'll talk a bit more in the kitchen, yeah?
Push the corners out because we're making the pizza, guys. Okay, and then
So, as you can see, this contains the chaos. But it's also making it so that we can spend time together, because when this is done, they can eat together, we have dessert, and then they play. And then we can hang out as well, and our husbands will come home later. So we like to do stuff where, we can also just have some time to actually talk, the two of us.
This is a pretty unique gig that you guys got going on here. Would you say you got a unique job?
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
I think it's also one of the most fun jobs.
Yeah. What is the most rewarding part about being home with your kids all day?
I think seeing them grow up and how they change so fast.
Yeah.
I worked with the other two, and I stayed home when my second was about 10 months old, and he was about to walk, and I think I felt like I missed his whole infancy,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to miss any more. So.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you what went into that decision to be a stay-at-home parent, because I know every parent has to make that decision at some point, either to go to work or to stay home. I know you kind of just talked about that. I don't know, Jess, if you want to, what went into yours?
Sure. MJ was about a year old. I was running this business, and I remember this, I went to the zoo with MJ. Got up really early, I worked through all of my emails, got all my work done to get to the zoo with my son. And I had this baby strapped to me, and I had my phone, and I was like handling this and talking to people and dealing with stuff. And then at some point I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. If I'm here, I want to be present, and I didn't feel like I was able to do that. I've always felt pulled, like I wasn't 100% here. and I wasn't 100% there.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it's just the decision to not want to miss first steps, words, things like that. But then also now, I've been doing this almost 6 years I've been home. I can see how much impact I've been able to have by being here. So MJ is now in second grade, and Matilda is still in preschool, and I'm on the board of both of their schools in executive positions. I'm able to
Always a boss lady. Everything she's doing, always a boss lady.
I can pour into our community, and in a way that I wouldn't be able to if I wasn't here. It's been really rewarding for me.
Well, I guess on the other end of the spectrum, right, this is what's rewarding about it. What do you do, right? Obviously, there's a lot of energy and emotions in the everyday. What do you do in those moments, and what do you turn to?
In the beginning, when I was staying home, it was very hard because it is a job, and like any job, you have to get used to it.
Yeah.
So I was home with 2 kids under 2, I think. And, I didn't have any mom friends yet, except for Jess. She let me join her weekly play dates, like on Mondays, and then became Wednesdays, and then Friday. It helps to have like a friend, even just a text if we couldn't hang out.
Why am I crying?
It's an emotional, like, friendship, raising kids, and definitely makes it easier when you have someone in your corner. Like being a mom helped me realize how much, like, understand God's character. Just like the forgiveness, the patience he has with us. I've been a Christian for a while. I just didn't realize, I didn't understand how much I needed God until I became a stay-at-home mom. Because the need is so real, like every day for grace, for forgiveness, to start over.
Obviously, you guys both coming from jobs in different sectors and things like that. What similarities do you see between the work you were doing and the work you do now?
The one I think of is I used to tell like my assistants, and I say, you set the tone for your floor, like how you want your employees to be, their attitude, like it comes from you. When I come downstairs and I am just like, bad sleep, bad morning, need coffee, all my kids feel it.
Yeah.
And then I just think, okay, just switch it up, change it, do something silly, sing a silly song, do a wiggle in the kitchen, and then everyone just like catches on to the vibe. Yeah. So like you definitely set the tone wherever you are.
I had to chuckle at that question because if you ask Rachel, she'll often say, I run my home like a business. There are systems that she's brought from her work. Me too. There's a lot of systems and there's a lot of processes, like that management background and things that we learned in just in our work before, we have brought into keeping this like semi-organized.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for giving us a look at your day-to-day. I can definitely say this was the most eventful out of all of the places that we visited, and thanks for showing us that it is hard but rewarding work, and the stories you guys shared are really inspiring.
Thanks for having me.
Shout out to all the stay-at-home parents.
Yes, thank you for doing good work.
Well, hey everyone, my name is Paul, and I'm one of the teaching pastors here at Epic. So glad that you're with us. So I want to ask you a question. When you're younger, what did you want to be when you grew up? What did you want to be when you grew up? So if you're like me, you have some different answers depending on what age you were. So when I was 6 or 7 years old living in Pittsburgh, that's when the Penguins won the Stanley Cup with Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. And 1992 was also when one of the greatest kids sports movies of all time came out, Mighty Ducks. And so between that movie and the success of the Penguins, I was all in on hockey, and I had heard stories that Mario Lemieux would be playing hockey in his basement at 3 years old. And so I cleared a path through all of the junk in our basement downstairs, and I would strap on my rollerblades and pick up a hockey stick and just skate circles in my basement for hours. Well, turns out my family couldn't afford for me to play real hockey, so that dream eventually fizzled out, and it's the only reason why I didn't go pro, obviously. And I had many more dreams that didn't pan out. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I wanted to be a pro football player. It should be very clear to all of us why being a professional athlete did not pan out for me. I wanted to be an illustrator. I wanted to be in a band. And so you may have had some similar dreams when you were younger. So let me ask you a follow-up question. What did you actually end up doing for work? And not just what you're doing now either. Like, what did you end up doing along the way? I'll give you a quick rundown of some of the jobs that I've worked. So my very first job ever was as a busboy at a hibachi restaurant. Best perk was I got so much great free food every single day. My second job, I worked at a desk of a fitness floor in this huge athletic club. I worked as a custodian in an office building across the street from PNC Park for a summer. I was a technology tutor. I worked at Wendy's. I worked for Northwest Airlines in the State College Airport for a little bit. I worked at Starbucks. I've worked at a bookstore. I've obviously worked here. I'm a teacher. I work at schools. So it's kind of crazy when you chart your journey by the actual work that you've done over the years since having those dreams as a little kid. And I would guess that for most of us, this statement would be true. Things did not go the way you planned, right? Like when you think about everything that's happened and where you are now, things probably have not gone anywhere close to where you envisioned they would when you were younger. And that might be okay for most of us because we can acknowledge that, like me, being a professional athlete or a famous musician was never really in the cards. It's a lot easier to deal with a childhood fantasy or dream not working out. But what if you're 18 and you didn't get into the school that you were hoping to get into? What if you're 20 and you realize halfway through that you made the wrong choice for your major? What if you're 22 or 30 or 40 or 50 and you can't get that dream job for that dream company that you want to work for? What happens when you're working a job you love and then you're let go? What happens when the promotion that you were counting on doesn't materialize? What happens when you made a jump to a new job that you thought was going to be amazing, but a week in you realize that the work culture is super toxic and you've made a huge mistake? What if long ago you thought you would have it all figured out by now, and instead you feel like you have it less figured out than ever? Now, we're in this series called Workflow, and we've gotten into why your work matters. We've gotten into how you work matters. We've gotten into what you do for work mattering. But what happens when your hopes, your dreams, your expectations, your ideas for work aren't going as you planned? It's not always easy to accept when things don't go as we plan. You're certainly not alone in this. Everyone here has dealt with or is dealing with the pain, the disappointment, the frustration, the fear of our plans not working out. It's also not new to the human experience. Even thousands of years ago, this was a thing. The writer of Proverbs tells us this in Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And now there is both observation and wisdom offered to us here. The simple observation is this, that we all want things to go a certain way, whether it's wanting to be a professional athlete when we're 7 years old, or charting out a particular career path when we're adults, or just planning for a nice, quiet evening at home tonight. But of course, one of your kids has to go to the emergency room now, or your air conditioning stopped working, or you pick Christian McCaffrey with the first pick in your fantasy football draft, and now he's on IR. You have plans, and then that chaos like me guy from the Allstate commercials shows up and wrecks everything. We've all experienced this. And I think where the wisdom comes in, where the truth, where the encouragement, where the hope comes in is here. But the Lord establishes their steps. So you may have plans, ideas, expectations for how things would go or where you would end up, and those plans didn't go to plan. And maybe that's a good thing. Or maybe a better way to put it would be that it could lead to some good things. Like maybe there's something more going on than you can see right now. Maybe there's a God who loves you and knows you and hasn't lost a hold of you in your life, and you're right where you need to be. So is it frustrating when your plans blow up? Yes. Is it painful? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. But if you're someone who's put your trust in God, someone who's experienced over time that there's a bigger, better plan that you're a part of, it doesn't stay frustrating. It doesn't stay painful. It doesn't stay scary. And maybe you're someone who hasn't had that experience yet, or you haven't learned that firsthand, or maybe you're someone who's forgotten. It's been a long time. And we hope we can encourage you today. Because what I believe that you'll find as you go longer and deeper in this journey of faith is a principle that can help you reframe some of your struggles and your disappointments with work. And it's this: that everything you go through now is preparation for what comes later. And that includes work. That situation that you're dealing with right now, the person that you're dealing with right now, that lost opportunity, the frustration as you wait for the next opportunity, everything right now is preparing you for something bigger and better down the road. And there's a story in scripture that highlights this principle, and we're going to take a look at King David before he becomes King David. And when David's a young boy, like, he has no dreams or aspirations of becoming a king. He has no idea that one day he would become king. When David was a boy, Israel already had a king. This is King Saul. And David was just the youngest son in a no-name family from a small town called Bethlehem. David was a shepherd. And as far as he knew, he'd probably always be a shepherd. And as you may know, God had other plans. Now, King Saul was Israel's first king, and though he started off well, he begun to lose the plot a little bit. He did what a lot of people do. He let the power and the position go to his head. He turned away from God, and because of this, God selected someone new to succeed Saul as king. He selected a no-name, humble shepherd boy from Bethlehem by the name of David. And even after David finds out that he's been anointed to be the next king of Israel, he goes through this waiting period. It doesn't happen immediately. And so where we pick up the story today, it's King Saul and his army, and they're at war with the Philistines. This is 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 3. The Philistines occupied one hill, and the Israelites another, with a valley between them. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span. The notes in my Bible say that that's about 9 feet, 9 inches. So just a massive monster of a human being. This is Andre the Giant. This is Thanos. And imagine the sight of him walking out onto the battlefield, towering over every single person. Intense. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come up and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he's able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." So basically, Goliath says, have you guys seen me? Like, are you looking at me? Like, what's the point of you guys even lining up for battle? Like, why are we even doing this? And the Israelites are all thinking, yeah, we were thinking the same thing, actually. And so Goliath says, hey, let's not waste any time here, right? Let's just choose your best warrior to come out here, face me, and we'll just settle this quick. If he defeats me, Israel wins. But if I defeat him, and I will, we win. Now, this is like if you stepped into a boxing ring when you were in 9th grade and the person sharing a ring with you was Mike Tyson. He just looks at you and goes, I like your ear. Here's how the Israelites react to this. On hearing the Philistines' words, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. Yeah, so this is like one of the most unnecessary and obvious verses in all of Scripture. Of course, they were scared. Now, while all of this is happening, David has shown up to the Israelites' camp, and he's not even there to fight. His dad sent him there to deliver food to his brothers who were fighting, but he had seen Goliath come out. He had heard what Goliath said. He's seen that everyone in the Israelite camp is terrified, and David finds his way to King Saul and says this, Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant, aka me, will go and fight him. David says, don't worry, everyone. I got this. I'll do it. And Saul probably stared at him for a few seconds and is like, okay, where's the camera? Who's got the camera? This is a prank, right? This is a prank. Like, Jonathan, did you do this? It's a good one. This is a good one. You almost got me. It says Saul replied, you're not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth. An understandable response in this case from King Saul. David's dead serious, though, and pay attention to what he cites as the reason for his confidence. David says to Saul, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. Okay. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Pretty intense. The notice of the story isn't, because I'm just a shepherd, I can't do this. No, it's actually because of my experience as a shepherd, I can. You know what I had to deal with out there? Lions and bears. Have you ever been up close to one of these? Pretty big, pretty intense, pretty scary. And I didn't just wave my arms and hope that they would go away. No, I went after them. And when they turned on me, I killed them. Woo! Okay. And David continues to explain, your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. David says, because I went through that, I can handle this. And it's not just what I've done. He says, because God took me through that, I know he can get me through this. Everything you go through now is preparation for what comes later. And, spoiler alert, David goes out to face Goliath, and not with the weapons of war that the other soldiers had, but with what he had as a shepherd, just a sling and a stone, and David brings down this giant. Now, can you imagine if David had known that he was going to be king, and then he was told to be a shepherd for several years? Like, I could see a scenario where David just shirks his responsibilities or complains about being in this spot, doing this boring job. So maybe it was a blessing that he thought he'd always be a shepherd, and he took his job seriously because that prepared him for what would come later, even though he had no idea at the time. I saw an actor talk about this once. He said something like, every job that I had, no matter how trivial or mundane it was a stepping stone for the next one. It prepared me for the next one. And that makes me think about my prior experiences, and I'd encourage you to do the same even as I do this. My first job at a hibachi restaurant, right? I was just a busboy, but it taught me so much about how to have a job and how to be responsible, how to be professional, how to work with people. My second job was in high school at that fitness desk in the athletic club. And that one honestly taught me a lot about mistakes, because I'm not very proud of the way that I carried myself at that job. It's the only job where I feel like I did not give 100%. And that taught me a lot about how I want to carry myself in the future. My experience as a custodian is one of the reasons that I know now that I need to have great relationships with and appreciate the custodians who work at my school, right? My experience at any restaurant that I've worked at, it has taught me to make sure that I tip well, right? That matters. It's important. My experience as a barista might be the most important preparation that I've had from any previous job, because it prepared me to make coffee or espresso for my wife every single morning. And she's going to be the first one to tell you that she needs me for that. Like, I'm happy to do it because it's incredible job security for me. I actually tell her that, like, hey, I every time I make coffee, I just look at her and go, job security. Nice. Nice. And if you look back, I'm sure that you'll also start to see all of the ways that your prior experiences have prepared you for where you are now. But the challenge is that when we're in it right now, and the pain or the confusion or the disappointment or the chaos of the present moment is a little bit too much, and we forget that it's preparing us for later, the same way that all our prior experiences prepared us for now. And so this may not be where you want to be right now. It might not be what you hope for, and it might not be the way you planned it. But remember, in their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. This may not be what you planned, but can you trust that God is establishing your steps? This might not be the most ideal situation right now, but can you trust that God is preparing you for something better down the road? The Apostle Paul writes this in a letter to the Romans, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. The Message version puts it like this: he knows us far better than we know ourselves and keeps us present before God. That's why we can be so sure that every detail in our lives of love for God is worked into something good. There is comfort and there is encouragement and there is hope in knowing this, that God knows you. God knows the situation that you're in. God knows where he's going to take you, and God knows what you need to get there. And God's going to use every detail, every big thing, every little thing, every easy thing, and every hard thing to prepare you for something good. With David, God used his experience of watching sheep to prepare him for the biggest battle in his life. And he would use all of those experiences to prepare him to be king. And if you know the story of David, then you also know, like, David wasn't perfect. David made mistakes. He made some pretty big ones, some pretty consequential ones. And God would ultimately use even those things and turn them into something good. And that's where I think we can find hope as we talk about work, that God's work is the work of redemption. Yes, God can take what happened to Jesus on the cross. If he can take that, if he can take the cross that was meant to be this tool to dominate through fear, cruelty, and humiliation and turn that into a symbol of hope and salvation and forgiveness and love, he can redeem any of our work woes too. God has always been in the business of taking the things that we go through, even the hardest things, even the self-inflicted things, and he continues to make them into something beautiful. If we can only trust him. If we can only trust him. If we continue to lean in and listen for his voice and move in the direction that he's nudging us, and don't give up hope because your plans aren't working out right now. So maybe you're in high school and you've had some kind of setback that you think is going to wreck your future. Trust that God is preparing you for something. And instead of letting fear guide your decisions, make your decisions reflect that trust. And maybe you're looking for a job because you're fresh out of school or you were let go or for whatever reason. This period of time, it might feel really discouraging, frustrating, scary, depressing. Remember and trust that God is preparing you for something. Make decisions that reflect that trust. And maybe you're not getting that promotion that you want, or you're not getting paid what you deserve, or you're having a conflict with some people at work, or for whatever reason, you still feel happy where you are. Trust that God is preparing you for something. And he might be preparing you better for something better by making you learn how to have hard conversations. That might be part of the preparation. Like, he might be preparing you for something better by making you learn how to budget your money better. That might be part of the preparation. He might be preparing you for something better by making you learn from a mistake. I've made many of them, about 3, plus 1,000. And all of those were preparing me for something better down the road. But you might never learn that if you're not willing to trust him and if you're not seeking his voice. Everything you go through now is preparation for something that's coming later. So as you try to make your work matter in what you do and how you do it, as you're trying to do good work, as you run into the inevitable setbacks and challenges that come with work, trust that God, whose work is redemption, will turn this, even where you are now, into something good. Let's pray. God, we thank you for the time to be here for this series, for speaking to us and teaching us about work and how we can lean into what you have for us when it comes to our work. God, I pray that as we're navigating all the challenges, all the setbacks, all the disappointments, all the frustration, all the uncertainties of our current work, remind us to trust you, remind us to lean in, remind us to listen for your voice, to follow your leading. Remind us of how good you are and that you are preparing us for something good. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for that message, Paul. I'm grateful for all of the wisdom that he shared with us today, because let's face it, when it comes to our work, our relationships, our hopes and dreams, it really is hard when there's a gap between where we are and where we hoped we would be. And as Paul said, this may not be the most ideal situation for you right now, but trust that God is preparing you for something bigger and better down the road. So if you heard this message today and you could relate, I would love the opportunity to pray for you this week. If you haven't taken time to text in, the info's right up on the screen, so do that and drop a prayer request in there. Hey, you're not alone. And if this message was encouraging to you today, chances are someone else might need to hear it as well, maybe somebody that you're connected to. So be sure to share this episode on social and take time to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so that we can continue to reach more and more people. We'll have a great rest of your day, and I'll see all of you right back here for the start of our new series, Cue the Confetti, next week.